Welcome to the Business Leadership Series, where we engage with leaders who are making an impact on their worlds and who want to share their knowledge and experience for your personal and professional growth. The following interview is designed to inspire you to become the best leader you can be. Your host, Derek Champagne, is the founder and CEO of The Artist Evolution, a full-service agency building successful brands, marketing tools, and campaigns, and also the author of the best-selling book, Don't Buy a Duck. And now, let's begin today's Leadership Series interview.
Welcome to the Business Leadership Series, where our goal is to inspire you to become the best leader that you can be. Today, we're going to be talking about using content for your brand, ways to repurpose your content. In our marketing course, champagnemarketingcourses.com, we teach all about how to create a content calendar and how to take that content and distribute it more effectively so that you are sharing it on your social media, on your blogs, repurposing as press releases, in email blasts, in your monthly newsletter, and other places. But I'm really excited about this new technology of Amazon Alexa and flash briefings. Our expert today, Jeffrey Smith, is going to be coming on in a couple minutes. But first, we're going to talk about content, and then our guest is going to talk to us about this. On this new Alexa platform, Jeffrey has a really cool resume. He is a digital marketing consultant. He helps businesses and individuals automate their content and their marketing in unusual ways. He was working with Hollywood studios there in Hollywood in the 90s. He's doing app development, doing movie productions, and now is doing this really cool automated workflow and then also content on Amazon Alexa. I'm excited to announce that the Business Leadership Series is going to be having our own daily flash briefing. So if you have the Amazon Alexa app, I want to invite you to go to the flash briefing content and to add additional content and look up the Business Leadership Series. We have a really cool 2-minute inspirational segment that we're going to be sharing 5 days a week. And all you have to do is ask Alexa to give you your daily flash briefing, and our segment will pop up. So let's dig into thought leadership and content strategy for just a couple of minutes. I personally practice this as one reason why we have this podcast. And so I want to give you some specific examples of how we use thought leadership and how you can use it for your business. Thought leadership is a great way to establish yourself as the thought leader in your industry. This is why we recommend consistent blogging, video blogs, putting your content on social media, capturing what makes you unique and what your services are, where you can educate your target audience. So staying relevant as a thought leader to reach all your target customers, you need to keep churning out consistent content and then disperse it across all of your platforms. But since content doesn't grow on trees, to keep the content coming strong, you've got to keep all of your messaging aligned with your integrated marketing plan, and then you need to be creative in how you repurpose your materials. So we like to put it on these 7 platforms: on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Wiki, Reddit, Tumblr, your monthly e-newsletter. And then also you can do video content and using other social media such as Snapchat and Instagram. So for blogs, you can post the first paragraph with an image and link to the rest of the blog and have it go to your website with a call to action along the lines of continue reading or read more. You can also repurpose your blog into other formats. So create a video about that topic and then with images with bullet points. So Instagram and Pinterest, you may distribute that way. Producing high quality content, it's essential for giving your customers that added value in choosing your brand, and then it gives you credibility as a thought leader in your space. So you want to provide useful materials that serve to educate your audience and that develop trust and that create and maintain that brand loyalty. So supply your audience with a variety of content that they can digest in different formats. So what is their preference? Do they prefer to read? Then have blogs, have podcasts, infographics, etc. And then keep your messaging aligned across all of your campaigns so that you establish that you're the knowledge provider in your field. So my agency, The Artist Evolution, firmly believes in thought leadership and in repurposing content that's valuable. So here's an example of how I personally use content for my own thought leadership strategy. Let's look at this podcast. Let's take one podcast episode. I'll take that podcast and I will transcribe it, and we'll use that transcribed written text as partial blogs, as content for us to share back out on social media. And of course, we have the podcast itself, which is audio value for us, and we have our listeners and subscribers. But then we'll also take the subject matter from the podcast and we'll repurpose it again. And that's the inspiration behind some of the Huffington Post articles that I write. And if you haven't seen those, I invite you to look up to our Artist Evolution Facebook page, The Artist Evolution, and you can see our monthly Huffington Post articles that I put up. And many of those are inspired by the content that we get from this podcast. And then our newest strategy is that we are also using this Amazon Alexa daily flash briefing. So I'm so excited that these are some new options for us. And I want to give you some examples of the flash briefing. There's a great article in insightsnewscred.com. So if you go to Newscred and look up the 10 examples of content marketing with Amazon Alexa, it's basically a voice-controlled home device if you're not familiar with Amazon Echo. And then the Alexa technology, it gives marketers whole new platforms for us to connect with our fans and our customers. Many brands are already doing this, either their B2B or B2C marketing. Brands like Digiday are doing 90-second segments for you to listen to as you drink your coffee. And there's several other brands, Gary V, 365, Gary Vaynerchuk, he actually has a daily briefing. He's one of the leads on it. And then Alexa's a great way to reach a wider consumer audience. So brands are starting to use this vertical for interesting, engaging, and different audio content. Our guest today is going to talk more about this. And so I want to go ahead and bring Jeffrey Smith in now. And he's going to talk to us more about the value of this platform. So I'm going to bring our guest, Jeffrey Smith, on the program now. Jeffrey, welcome to our show today.
Thank you, Derek. It's nice to be here.
I've had the opportunity to get to know you a little bit in one of the mastermind groups we're in, but you're doing some amazing things. You're a digital marketing consultant, and you help businesses and individuals automate their marketing, their content in some unusual but effective ways. And you're helping me as well. So I thought, hey, you know what? I've got all these questions for you about this new thing we're doing. So why don't I bring this awesome expert on? And you can just help me walk through and help our listeners. And then let's give some plugs for some of the other things that you do.
That sounds fantastic.
So why don't you give us a little bit background? You help people automate their content and their marketing in some unusual ways. Give me some examples.
In the early days, I created a product called Preview It. This was back in the 90s that allowed studios and TV networks to market their programming with streaming video back in the early days of streaming video. And we were doing work for A&E Networks, Warner Brothers Online, History Channel, really doing some fun stuff with them that they weren't able to find other ways to do it. We then began offering Warner Brothers the ability to take their franchise tentpole products like Harry Potter and do interactive desktop wallpaper on the computer that actually kept the people up to date when the next movie was coming out, when the next video was coming out.
Wow.
Then from that, I moved into app development, which I do a lot of now. And most of my app development is really focused on finding new ways to get people's word out in front of the consumer, to tell their story, to be more authentic with their customers, and finding ways that they have more time to actually do that. That's part of the work that brought me to you on doing this with Alexa, is that I've been setting up a lot of automated workflows for my clients lately, and this became a part of that workflow.
So can you explain that automated workflow a little bit for our listeners that might not completely know what that means? It sounds really cool, but a lot of times people say, yeah, got you. But tell us what that means. Sure.
I'll give you an example. One of my clients has about 100 franchisees across the United States, and he had a spreadsheet in Google Docs that everybody went in and put their sales for the month, and then he'd go in and multiply it out, what they needed. There were hours and hours spent just gathering this information. So what I did was I created a connected form that has the basic information that we need. Every month it's sent to each of the franchisees. They fill out the information in that form. That form then fires off an entry into the same Google Doc spreadsheet that he used to have to write it in. It sends out the emails to everybody who's a part of this to know there's some new information in here that you need to check. It automatically goes to FreshBooks and sends them an invoice based on the amount of money that they're owed. It just sends so much information. Takes about 10 different things, 10 different processes that they used to do by hand on a 1, 2, 3, 4 checklist. They had to make sure they did all these, and it's just done with the push of a button now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for explaining that through. It sounds like you're passionate about staying ahead of communication and obviously automation as well. But, I can relate to the communication side, and I'm normally on the side, not of caution necessarily, but of saying, hey, our agency, we call ourselves a third-party advocate. So before we recommend something, we say, hey, we're coming from a purist standpoint and saying, here's your product and your service. You understand your customer over here, and let's build bridges to have a meaningful relationship so you can coexist in each other's worlds and be relevant. So we don't always recommend the newest technology immediately, but I am an early adapter to most things. But I am jumping headfirst into some of these newer things, so I'd love to talk about, because I get the value. Take me to the kind of the evolution of what's going on with Amazon, especially Amazon Alexa, and then how brands and businesses and even individuals can start to engage and reach either B2B and B2C through that platform.
Absolutely. Yeah. As an Amazon developer, my Facebook feed is very often filled up with what the latest thing is that Amazon is offering developers that they can do. And it's amazing me more and more every day. They're taking on everyone from Oracle to Microsoft to you name the company, they're taking them on. They've got a simpler way to do things. They've got a more integrated way to do things. And it's all pointing toward Alexa and voice command. A lot of us got our first taste of voice command with Siri, and Siri's wonderful. I'm in the car all the time, and Siri, what is this? Siri gives me directions to this place, but it didn't go any further than that until I found out about these Amazon Echoes, which at first I was like, well, what is that? I'm not even paying attention to it. Right. And my buddy Matt Miller said, I just got one of these Echoes, and it's so cool. I've went out and bought about 5 more right afterwards so that I could have one in every room of the house. And so he said, what can we do with it? And I started looking, and he started looking, and he actually found this thing called a daily flash briefing, where you can create your own podcast, a very short podcast that airs daily, and people can subscribe to it as part of a daily briefing. And what that is, right now, every morning when you get up, you grab your phone, you go in, you take a look at what the headlines are, you go to your weather app, you see what the weather's going to be that day. You listen maybe to your daily devotional or your self-improvement podcast that you like to listen to. But instead of doing all that with Alexa, you wake up, Alexa wakes you up at the time you want, like an alarm clock, and you say, give me my briefing. And then Alexa will play you the headline. She'll tell you what your weather's going to be. And any short podcast that you subscribe to just starts playing automatically. So you're getting what you were having to go and actively find and take care of every day is just being fed to you. And in this world, the most important thing that we have is time. And what Alexa will do over the next few years is give us a lot more time.
Thank you. Again, you're teaching me this in real time with our listeners, but I've already moved forward with you helping me set up my daily flash briefing because I believe in it so much, and it's kind of like a gold rush right now for a lot of my podcasting buddies, and a lot of them are working with you for us to get in there on the forefront before people unwrap their Christmas presents. So I think this episode comes out on Christmas Eve.
Fantastic.
So it'll really be pushed out on Christmas Day, which we know that some of you out there are going to listen because you're going to have some little down moments. And if you get an Alexa, I want to ask you guys to add Business Leadership Series to it, because you'll get these really cool daily briefs that we're doing. They're really cool. I think they're 2-minute segments, and they're great inspirational pieces that will help us become better leaders. And then obviously we'll keep having our full-length segments on our traditional platform. I want to keep talking more about this because it's just so fascinating to me. Our buddy Tom Schwab just posted something about GM adding 1 million, or adding iPod button to I think 1 million of their new cars coming out. And so
wow.
Which is incredible. Now I think that was announced today. So that's going mainstream. Although podcasts have been out for a long time, I still see a lot of our clients are a lot out there that are just kind of testing the waters with it. We've got a bunch of clients who are diving in now, and they're getting great results from it. Can we keep going? I mean, you don't have to have a podcast to do a flash briefing, correct?
No, that's the cool thing about this. This is so new and it's so groundbreaking that if you've been thinking about getting into a podcast, this is the way you want to get into it.
Yeah.
Because what's important for this is that it's short. You said yours is 2 minutes. That's 2 minutes. That's ideal. I listen to one in the morning that's 45 seconds every day, and it's exactly what it needs to be. And it's kind of a daunting task to go out there and say, all right, I'm going to do an hour twice a week,
right,
or I'm going to do an hour every week. But the idea of, I can give somebody a tip of how to get along with their coworkers better, how to do their investments better. Whatever your expertise is, you can tell somebody a 45-second to 2-minute clip every day of what that is. And this is so automated. Once I set it up for you, you set it up for yourself. If you get your own Amazon developer account, all you have to do is produce it, and you can even produce it on your iPhone. That's what's really cool. You can put your headsets on. We both know Big A, Aaron
right.
Walker, who every day goes out for his walk on the Greenway, and he does his Facebook Live from the Greenway. Anybody can do that with their phone. And for this, just record yourself doing it. There's a little app that you can buy called Boss DJ, I think it's called, and it allows you to put intro and outro music onto your recordings, so you can record it while you're walking. Hit the DJ Boss and get that added to the front and back, and then upload it to SoundCloud or Libsyn or Podomatic or whatever you use, and it's published. And once you do that, it goes out to your Alexa. It's automated. It's quick. It's easy.
That's
it's the
great.
Perfect time to get started.
So I know you recommend voice. I've also been reading up on this. You can do text, right? I mean, you can do text, but it's a more robotic voice. Is that correct?
That's right. Alexa doesn't sound quite as good as Siri does. So they've got a few years to make her. She does more, but she doesn't sound as good. So it's much better. And plus, it's more authentic. You're talking to your customers. You're talking to your followers. You're talking to your fans. You should be the voice there, not Alexa's voice. One other thing that you mentioned, this is a gold rush. It is definitely a gold rush. When I did one for our buddy Matt a couple of weeks ago, there were only 2,200 flash briefing skills up there. They call them skills in the store. Today, I just looked and it's up to 3,800.
Wow.
That's almost doubling in 2 weeks.
But when you think of the amount of podcasts out there,
right?
I mean, just on my Podomatic alone, I think we've got 10,000 plus business podcasts. Mm-hmm. Just on the Podomatic platform. Now we stay top 10 to 15, so I'm proud of that. But that's incredible, though. That's a gold rush, but that just shows how new it is, though.
Exactly.
And one of my favorite things about it is you can become part of your tribe's routine. And I appreciate our tribe that tunes into the Business Leadership Series. They're amazing, and it's growing. And but you guys come in and you engage with it at your convenience to consume. But I love that this can be part of the wake-up ritual or at the end of the day or whenever they're consuming it, and you become part of their regular schedule. That's exactly right. And if you kick yourself because you didn't get into podcasting in the beginning so that you had an easier way of building an audience, if you're kicking yourself because you didn't get into Facebook Live at the beginning or because you didn't buy Bitcoin at $10, then right now you cannot kick yourself in the future by being a part of this. It's right now. That's right. So how long, I know there's an urgency and there's a gold rush to get in, but realistically, somebody that is listening goes, you know what? And first of all, I want to tell our listeners, you don't have to own a business to do this. If you're a thought leader in any way, this helps your personal brand. And this also helps you with your customers. If you're any professional service industry, man, what a great opportunity and how unique. And that's what I love about it. And again, I've said before, I'm a third-party advocate. I'm not going to recommend something unless I think it's powerful. But in the thought leadership space, this is really big. It is. It's huge. Yes, it's a gold rush. But for someone that's kind of going, I don't really use technology that much. That's great. You said use Boss DJ and Libsyn or Podomatic, but do they have? Are we talking days, weeks, months? But realistically, how much time if somebody wants to investigate and contact you or figure out how to do it? They've got a little bit of time, right? Absolutely. Yeah, you figure most of these things that when you see them as a gold rush in the beginning, they're a mature platform in about 2 years. And in 2 years, you're kicking yourself because you didn't do it before. The earlier you get in, the better.
but you've got months or a year or more to get in to still be in the early days of it and build your audience. And as plenty of people know, I mean, even if you get into the normal podcast game today, if you have good content, if you work it, if you're authentic, people will find you and people will listen to you. And it's the same thing with this. It's just easier to get found right now. And on Christmas Day, in just a few days, you're going to have tens of millions of new people opening their Echoes on Christmas morning and then looking for content for it. What I do is I try to turn it around once I get the information I need from a client. I try to turn it around in about 3 business days.
Wow.
So, and as I mentioned, you don't have to invest in a lot of equipment to get started on this. If you have a cell phone with a headset, you can get started.
Yeah, I like that. And having good content is key, and then being consistent. You know, a lot of times it took me several months, and I wondered if there was, with the podcast, I go, no, there's some crickets happening.
You and your mom.
Do you remember the Seinfeld episode where Kramer had that Merv Griffin's set in his room?
Yes.
And he's like, cancel the show. We've got to refresh it. I told my wife more than once I felt that way. And I'm like, nope, we're going to keep going here because I feel like we're onto something. It's working for others. Let's keep having great guests on. But just to be consistent and keep doing it and focus on good content, and you will start to find your audience if you're doing some of the basic recommendations.
That's exactly right. Yes. For a long time, I do a daily comic strip called Prayer Pups, and for a long time, it was just my mom reading it. I mean, it was months.
But you kept going.
Kept going. Yeah.
Well, anything else you want to share with us about flash briefings or any other new technology that's relevant that you would want to plug today?
A couple of things that are on the bleeding edge right now that maybe in a few months are going to be ready to go. One is check out CryptoKitties, which is the first use of the blockchain technology, which is what underlies Bitcoin, to actually create a game. It's silly. It's just collecting little pictures of kittens that you then breed with each other. But people are investing millions of dollars in this, and it's really starting to show where blockchain can go.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's really the future. And just as you said, get in now. Be bad. Nobody's going to be listening to you for the first month, so be bad, and then you'll get better, and the show will get better. And so don't wait till it's perfect. I have so many friends who sit around and wait until it's perfect before they do anything. Mm-hmm. Get started now. Yeah,
great advice. Again, Jeffrey Smith coming on. I want you to plug a few things, but from the 90s, working with Hollywood studios to app development to all the amazing things he's doing now, including some of the automated workflow things he's working on, and then this Amazon Alexa flash briefings. He's personally helping me with it. We've hired him to help us get launched quickly, and we're doing a daily briefing. You don't have to do a daily briefing though, right, Jeffrey?
No, it just has to be regular.
Okay, could be a week, could be once a week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I know you recommend to do more often to build your audience and to have them make you part of their daily routine.
Exactly. If you're thinking about doing a 5-minute show, do 5 1-minute shows instead.
Yeah, I love that. We do our regular podcast is longer because we like to interview guests and take our time with them, so that's appropriate for that other platform. But we also have this show is also on ESPN 99.5 FM. It's a Sunday morning radio show. And so we also need 48 minutes of content. So we have different buckets to fill, but we are really trying to practice thought leadership, as I talked about earlier in the podcast, as the best case study that we can, because we really believe in it, and we've got a lot of content to share. So, Jeffrey, any way we can contact you if our listeners want to learn more about you and what you have going on? What do they need to do?
The easiest way to get in contact with me is just through my email. This is going so fast with Alexa that even though I'm a web and app developer, I haven't had time to set up a website on it yet. But they can just reach out to prayerpups, PRAYERPUPS @gmail.com, and I'll be happy to talk to you.
Awesome. And I can vouch for Jeffrey, and he's got a great resume and is working with a lot of our buddies in our mastermind groups and just great business people and thought and content leaders and helping them take it to the next level. Thanks for being our guest, and look forward to seeing the next great things and to you helping me with my show as well.
Thank you, Derek. I'm really looking forward to it.
All right. We'll talk soon, buddy.
Thanks. Bye.
I want to invite you to join me in supporting the American Diabetes Association. I've got the honor of being a Kiss a Pig candidate this year, which means I have the opportunity to help raise money for the American Diabetes Association locally. The ADA has been funding innovative research to combat diabetes since 1955. And in 2011, they funded more than $35.75 million a year in research at 139 research institutions across the country. The statistics, approximately 1.25 million American children and adults have type 1 diabetes. As many as 1 in 3 American adults will have diabetes in 2050 if present trends continue. I want to invite you to join me in supporting the American Diabetes Association. You can learn more at diabetes.org or stopdiabetes.com to see how you can get involved.
You've been listening to the Business Leadership Series, where we engage with leaders who are making an impact on their worlds and who want to share their knowledge and experience for your personal and professional growth. This interview was designed to inspire you to become the best leader you can be.